Hi, I'm Jay, and today we're going to tie a hot new perch pattern. Stay tuned. And we are back. Gonna have to double check this in editing. It was a little weird. I think I had volume coming from my laptop itself and running through the mixing board. Hopefully that opening wasn't too bad. But today what we're gonna do is I had a custom order right before the holiday weekend. So I quickly painted up a whole bunch of heads. This head is very similar. Switch over here to the perch pattern that we did, the perch airhead, which had a dark green top. So this customer wanted to combine the colors of the bearded banana, right? That brown with the pearl yellow, but then have that orange belly, the heel of the head of the jig, to be more perch-like. So, you know, doing that for him, painting up a whole bunch was pretty easy, not a big deal. He did have to wait a little while. I had to get it in my... missing a color here. I had to get it in my rotation, so to speak, just to get some time, just a little bit of time set aside so I can tie or paint rather, right, those heads. So, but I turned on the camera. I did paint up a few extra of these for myself. I already have a buddy that when he saw a picture he wants a dozen, so I'll be painting up some more. I'll do a few extra. We'll put those on the website and then over the next week or so. But I'm beginning with my size A. This is a good rod, size A rod wrapping thread. It's black, and for this pattern you could use a nice natural brown, or in this case for this customer I was using the darker patch up the back of the olive tail, which seems to have been something that I've done, have been doing a lot lately. No particular rhyme or reason, but a natural brown, or like I said, this brown patch right up the back of this olive tail. And of course we're going to measure this. The tail will be the length of the body past the bend of the hook. And I'm going to tie this just like I did for the customer. Now I think for myself I'm going to change up the tinsel. Right now we're using a Sunburst fly. It's kind of like a crinkle Flashaboo. This customer, he's an old timer. He likes the tinsel right down the center, right on top of the hook shank. When I tie some up for myself, I think I'm going to go with a crystal flash or crystal hair, and put a few strands on each side along the lateral line. But this is just a nice green, just a dark green, and like I said, we're using the Sunburst fly material, and it's very, very similar to the New Age Crinkle Flash or Flashaboo. Flashaboo would be just fine, just a plain green Flashaboo. I'm going to add a couple wraps just to put my thread on the hook bend side of that collar. This will help me lock it in. See, I'm struggling. There we go. And I just trim that off just shy of the tips of the tail. Now the central color for this is going to be the straight olive. Another color that would be fantastic is maybe finding an olive tail that's a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter than your typical olive bucktail. You know, we've all ordered tails before, I'm sure, where some of the olive, you know, olive as example, some come a little bit darker, some come a little bit brighter, more of a warmer color. So, you know, a tail that's on that warmer olive side would be fantastic for this. And as you see, the color we use for the belly will really make this jig pop. I hope on the screen that the colors really show up, because this is actually a very bright jig, even though we're using a lot of this natural, more of a natural color, the olives and brown. But the pearl yellow, that's the main color on this head, in the light really has a nice pearl look to it. Has a lot of little sparkles in that pearl paint. And then for the belly, what I'm using is a Sunburst orange or Sunburst yellow, depending on who you're buying it from. It's kind of the same color. It's it just depends on, you know, which supplier you're buying it and the term that they use. So it's a yellow that's on the orange side, or an orange that's on the yellow side. Sometimes it's just called Sunburst. And I'm turning my jig and my vise just so I can see where the tips line up. You know, often I'll put my finger up, which has always, you know, has been my habit for the longest time. But lately, and until I switch this mat on the top of my table, I've been having a hard time seeing colors against this blue painter's tape. So that just helps me line it up. Then we're going to lock in this third color. Finish our collar. Now, this typically on a perch pattern, you've seen me tie in the past. I'll give it 4 stripes. Up the tail. But because this jig uses black thread for the collar, that black collar simulates a one of the stripes. So what we're going to do is just add 3 stripes on the tail. You could add 4, it's not going to hurt anything. But we'll finish off our collar as normal. I like to take the jig out of the hook, just recenter the hairs on the point of the hook, and I can place it back in. And now we can take our black mark saw, our black Milwaukee ink saw marker. I'm going to put 3 stripes right up the side, 3 stripes up this side. We will finish the collar with a lacquer-based head cement. This lacquer's thinned down just slightly so it does penetrate the threads, though it's still thick enough to create that nice candy shell. And let's take a good look at this. Turn off my face. This is a super pretty jig. Does have a lot of natural color to it with those olives and the brown on the head. A little bit of flash. You could use any color flash really that you'd want. Black flash or opal, you know, two extremes right there. Would either of those would look great on this jig. Maybe a flash that on the yellow side, or maybe a little bit of golden to complement that yellow belly. But this is a super pretty jig. And I think that's going to do it for right now. Just wanted to get on camera real quick. I knew I was going to tie this jig and record it sometime over the holiday weekend. We are planning a trip, you know, cars all packed, ready to go. Wife and our youngest is still upstairs. I think the youngest is still in bed. So turn the cameras on real quick just to show this jig. So I think that will do it for us today. As always, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Feel free to share any of my videos as it does help increase awareness for the channel. Tie yourself up one of these new pattern perch. I'm calling it a new pattern perch. It's a new pattern to me, but tie yourself up some of these perch jigs with the brown, olive, and sunburst yellow belly and see how they work. Let me know. Put some comments down below. But I think that will do it for us today. Until next time, guys, keep tying and tight lines.